God damn it, I'm going to win the next hand.
Yes, you're going to win the next hand, Clyve. That's right. Clyve, it's great to see you on the Archie Luxury channel. Today, we're on the Paul Pluta channel. We're going to talk about watches of famous people. And this is something that...
You mean yourself?
Well, we're looking more at American heroes. World figures. And I wanted to talk to you, Clyde. Tell me this. Has the fact that someone famous wore Rolex ever influenced you to buy a Rolex or wear Rolex?
No, not really. They might raise my awareness of the watch, but yes. I don't think I would get it just because, I don't know, if Brad Pitt was wearing a Rolex, I wouldn't get it because Brad Pitt was wearing it. I'd buy it if it was cool. If it's cool watch in the first place, it has to stand on its own merits.
Yes.
And also if I could get it used.
Yes. Yes. Ronald Reagan was a huge Rolex fan.
Okay.
And I got a few pictures here. I'll show you a few things here, Clive. Let's have a look at this. This is Pope John Paul II. He was a huge Datejust fan.
Well, you know, actually, he was a simple man.
Here's Reagan wearing his Rolex.
What kind is it?
Datejust, Jubilee. You can see the Jubilee bracelet there.
Yeah, the clasp. So he's wearing it on the inside of the wrist.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Look, there's a lot of great men. Here's one of your heroes here.
Actually, and you know who's got the identical Rolex, right?
That's right. That's why I brought it up, because the LBJ Rolex, which is what makes the LBJ Rolex, Clive?
Well, it's from the same time period. It has to have the oyster clasp in gold rather than the hidden clasp, and also silver dial.
I see. Was LBJ a hero of yours?
Well, just not really. He was just a politician. I think everyone blamed him for the Vietnam War.
Maybe
which was completely unfairly. And, you know, actually the Vietnam War completely derailed the Great Society. He
did ramp up the manpower in Vietnam.
And the thing is, if he hadn't done it, the Republicans would have eaten him alive for being soft. Oh, Super Chat.
Super Chat?
Okay. Chat. I hate the magnifier glass over the date on the Rolex. Is it easy to take off? Or what do you think of it, Clyde and Archie? The Cyclops. Vladimir, send us $10 Canadian.
Very interesting. I quite like the Cyclops. I think that's what sets a Rolex as being a Rolex, is the Cyclops. What do you think?
You don't screw with the watch. Don't screw with the watch. Leave it alone. If the Cyclops bothers you that much, either get a no date or get a
Sea Dweller.
Older Sea Dweller. Yeah, and that's one of the things I actually do like about the Sea Dweller. I think they did it. It's, you know, keep in mind, when I'm wearing mine, I have to hold it back like this far to read the date. But the date window is almost the same size as the indices at 9 o'clock. So I think for a date window, it is probably the most balanced date they have. Would you agree?
Yep. I would have to agree there. I think, you know, the interesting thing is no one else has had the balls to really put a magnifier on there, because they would immediately be accused, you copied that off Rolex.
Exactly.
And,
of course, Panerai has a few models that does the same, but they put the Cyclops underneath the glass, which I have to admit is that's kind of a neat little take on it. You have to admit.
It is. It is. I think it's more to do with the symmetry. It upsets the symmetry, the Cyclops.
Right.
But where else would you have the date? At the 6? Where would you have the date? This is the whole thing.
Or if you didn't have the Cyclops, you would have a lot bigger date window at the 3, and it would really mess things up.
I mean, a lot of people there, I think a lot of people out there don't like the Cyclops, but I think it's
sorry, I'm reading the comments.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. The Cyclops itself, it's a classic Rolex thing. You know, if you don't like it, you know, it's one of these things, Clyve. Patek doesn't have a Cyclops, for example. That's a brand that doesn't have a Cyclops. I got to say, you know, I think the Cyclops is a hallmark of Rolex. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's a famous design attribute. Did you always like your first watch was a date just, wasn't it, Clyve?
No, it was an Oyster Perpetual date.
Manual wind. That has a Cyclops. Oh, Oyster Perpetual date. No, sorry. Yes.
My bad. It was actually an Oyster Perpetual.
Oyster Perpetual. Sorry. I was thinking of the Oyster date. Your Oyster date. You know, the 6694, very classic. That was the most popular watch in Singapore at one stage. That was the most affordable Rolex. But no, that's very. Go on.
And you know, the thing about the Oyster, which I mean, I didn't like it. I mean, it was a classic model, but unfortunately, it was you know, silver dial and white gold hands, so complete lack of contrast. So it's just like, and that's my problem with a lot of vintage date justs as well. You know, because the silver dial and the white gold hands, it's the cheapest way for Rolex to kind of play up the bling factor to make the watch dial look as blingy as the rest of it. Likewise with two-tone date justs, the champagne dial and the yellow gold hands, you know, it's the cheapest way for them to dress it up. But especially over time, once little patina wears, there's no contrast between the two. So it looks nice, but if you can't, you have to be time. Yeah.
So tell me this: with the LBJ, you are a Democrat.
Pretty much.
Coming from Oklahoma, you'd have to be a Democrat.
No. It used to be. Your information is outdated. Oklahoma, the South used to be heavily Democrat for years and decades and decades and decades since the Civil War. But actually, because of LBJ and Kennedy and pushing equal rights, once the Democrats started pushing equal rights, then all the Southerners started going Republican. Go figure.
Now, Clyve, I wanted to show you something if I could. Hello?
Yeah. Yes. Racism. Anyway.
I wanted to show you something, which is...
Okay, go ahead.
General Eisenhower. Were you an Eisenhower fan?
Well, yeah, everyone liked Ike. That's how he got president, because everyone liked him. Yeah, and I've seen his. He had a solid gold date just given to him by Rolex and it actually had the first presidential bracelet on it, I believe, or one of the first ones.
Yes, you are quite true there. But there was another thing that Ike had that you're probably not aware of, and I want to show you something. Can I show this to you?
Go ahead.
And I want to show you this because you've got one.
Okay.
Here we go.
I do not have an Eisenhower poster.
Look at the Hoya.
Ah, yeah. Actually, yeah. It's a pre-Carrera because it's got 3 registers.
What do you think?
Nice.
Is that the same as yours? Is 2 register, isn't it?
Right. Mine is 2 registers, unfortunately.
But that's very similar. Why, unfortunately?
Well, you know, I hate to say it, but the 3 register is, if it's a 3 register, it's pre-Carrera. And as such, I infinitely worth more, because, you know, as you know, right now the Rolex Daytonas, you know, when the first Carrera and the first Daytona were almost sisters. When you think about it, they were introduced at the same time. They had the same value movement, and even the same company produced the dials for both. Heuer sold more of the Carrera. People bought the Heuers more, the Carreras more. And, you know, Carrera is a race, a particularly dangerous, grueling race in Latin America. But they bought more of the Heuers than the original Daytonas, simply because Heuer had a lot longer sterling history doing chronographs, actually, and even with mine. For instance, mine is my my 437 is actually from the not exact. They made it for a while. It's got a value 22, but it's from either the 30s, from the mid to late 30s to the mid to late 40s. I sent you a picture of it, I think.
Yeah. This poster was from 1946. You know, that thing I just showed you there. That was 1946. Right. So, yeah. General Eisenhower. It's quite an interesting thing there. But it's a fascinating world there, Clyve. You were a Kennedy fan?
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. And on the other hand, it's just it's almost, for Americans that grew up after, in the wake of the Kennedy assassination, it's almost impossible. He was so martyred that it's almost impossible to separate that from my generation, subsequent ones, from his actual performance as president.
I see.
But on the other hand, he kept the world from being nuked. A year before he got shot, had it been anybody else, you know, that's why it's actually kind of important for presidents to have some military experience. And like I said, Kennedy, besides just coming from wealth and power and privilege, actually had military experience, and he wasn't really put off or wasn't particularly impressed by his military advisors at the time. Also, he's kind of pissed off. He's pissed off they gave him a bunch of bad advice during the Bay of Pigs, and I don't think he quite ever forgot that.
Yes, I see what you're saying. And tell me this, Clyve, you're quite the historian there.
That's what I might have my undergrad in.
Are you Ted Williams? Does Ted Williams mean anything to you?
Baseball player, I think.
Yes, not just a baseball player, the greatest.
Well, okay, but in that, I'm completely not a sports nut, and the fact that I knew him shows how good he was.
Yes, because you know what type of watch Ted Williams wore, don't you?
No, I do not.
You have no idea.
Rolex, I would guess.
Rolex Explorer 1.
Nice. You didn't have money for an Explorer 2?
Yeah, he couldn't quite afford the upgrade there, Clyve. Here we go. Have a look. Here we go. Look at that. On a Jubilee bracelet.
Oh, I'd love to have that. You had one kind of similar, though, to it, didn't you?
Yeah, 1016. That's correct. Yes, very similar. Very similar. And that's Ted Williams, the back of it.
Well, it's kind of funny, though, how they used to put Jubilee bracelets on sports models.
Well, you could get that on the GMT. You know that, the Pepsi GMT.
Oh, yeah.
They came on the. They came on that for a long time.
I'm really, yeah, and a lot of people, yeah. And, you know, I hate to say it, I'll take an oyster over Jubilee any day. Just like the oyster better.
You would take an oyster over a Jubilee any day?
Yep, I would.
Okay.
So, stainless steel, two-tone, or whatever.
I see. I see. Very interesting, Clyve. I got to say this, Clyve, is that these wristwatches themselves there, does that make you, just because someone famous wears a particular brand, does that make you want it more, or has no bearing?
No bearing at all. It just it might increase awareness of it.
Because you know, the thing is now, a lot of presidents now, they can't wear fancy things because they will be picked at by the media, won't they?
Exactly right. So
like,
that's why Clinton
Obama never really, you don't want consumptuous displays of wealth, do you? You definitely don't want that, do you?
Conspicuous.
Conspicuous.
You don't want conspicuous consumption.
You want to look like a normal person, like you don't want to go around in a Maybach or a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce, except Trump. Trump could pull that off, of course.
Oh yeah, well, people would be disappointed if Trump didn't wear one.
Yes, yes, that's exactly right. And no, that's very interesting, Clyve. Rolex. Yeah.
Put a picture of the Hoyer, of my old Hoyer, up if you'd like to. Sent you a text of it on the wrist.
You sent me.
Yes, I did.
Okay, let me just dig it out there.
It's got some patina on it, but I have to admit, you know, they talked me out of anything other than a light cleaning, and I'm glad they did. Yes,
no, I agree. You don't want to do anything. This is where a lot of people do damage. It's like vintage gun collectors. You know, the worst thing you can do is get that patina off a vintage gun. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I've heard that plenty of times.
Oh, just give it a good polish up. It'll look just like new.
Oh, yeah.
And that really hurts the value, you know.
Did someone send us a super chat? Oh, what are the Durstiefel? Actually, yeah. Durstiefel was major league respect because, you know, Brisbane Watch Forum and the Archie Luxury Fan Club homepage on Facebook. What are the names of your pet crows outside? Heckle and Jekyll.
Heckle and Jekyll. Very good, Clyve. Very, very good indeed. Yes.
Of course, they're outside because they're hunting for lefty and righty.
Yes. Yes.
They mistake them for large wiggling worms.
Yes. Yes, you're right there. No, it's a very, very hard thing, Clyve. Very hard. They're very noisy bastards. You know that?
Oh yeah, we hear them. That in the squeaky chair was how you got busted. Because it was like a mystery. Because everyone's listening to the sound clues. Like, you know, it's just like the guys on this board. They literally could have listened to Obama, Osama bin Laden's videos, and they would have figured out. Okay, that sounds like the 345 leaving Karachi. Yeah, I mean, it was almost that level. That level of deduction. It was like some real Sherlock Holmes shit going on there. But anyway, did you find the picture?
Let's have a look, Clyve. Yes, it's just come through now. I just want a high definition one so I can zoom into it. Just hang on. It's coming up now. Very patinaed. I think it's beautiful. You would not want to touch that dial, Clyve. Do not. You touch the dial and you're going to destroy. Here we go, Clyve. What do you think? Isn't that beautiful? I love the red hands. Don't you love the red hand, the second hand there?
Yep, and that's why I was using a Timus earlier. So the Valjoux 22 still works pretty well.
Would you sell this, or no? You're keeping this in your collection. I love the hands. The Arabic numerals, don't you? Very.
Yes.
What era is this watch? I'd say 40s. Would you say 40s?
Unsure. They made it for a while. They're thinking anywhere from mid 30s to mid 40s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's 70 to 80 years old, basically.
Now, the 3-reg chrono is a bit more desirable. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the 3-register chrono is basically pre-Carrera.
So when did the Carrera come out?
About the same time the Rolex first Daytona, like 62, 63, I think.
Yep.
And so, but however, since Heuer actually was doing chronographs for like years, decades before the Carrera came out, Rolex didn't have an in-depth history. So that's why they sold more Carreras than they did the Daytonas. As you know, the first Daytonas were extremely unpopular because Rolex at the time didn't have the pedigree. Loved the needle hands on it too.
The hands are so gorgeous, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
I love the Arabics, the Art Deco Arabics. Don't you love them or not?
Yes. Love everything about it. I don't think and like I said, the patina on the dial matches the patina on the case. So it's not like that's one of the things people look for. You know, is the case too scuffed up versus the dial, or vice versa. It's it's had a little bit of rough usage in its life, and it reflects its owner.
Do you know anything about the first owner, the owner of it?
No, do not. Nothing, except he's probably dead. Well, he's dead. There's just no way of getting around it. Unless
he's a vampire.
I was thinking Dick Clark, but even Dick Clark is dead.
So tell me this watch here itself, 36 mils.
Yep.
Manual wind.
What? Yep.
2 reg.
LG22.
How is it keeping time? Tell me that. How is it keeping time?
It is. Yeah. Well, let's see. Exactly on the dot.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and so one of the things I also realized the Value 22. But I didn't realize how long they made that sucker. They tweaked it and they improved it. They eventually tweaked it here and there, and they put shock absorption on it and so forth and so on. But they literally made it from 1917 to 1974. Holy crap!
That's amazing.
It really is. And actually, just even the Value 22 in it actually kind of makes it a nice little watch to have.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And what made you go to a Heuer? What was the thing? What was the attraction for this? Besides me telling you, buy it, you dummy, buy it.
Well, even I know enough to know that Heuers are becoming valuable. Tag Heuer, spit on the ground. However, I know the Carreras, the Monacos, and the Octavias are becoming grails.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, the Carreras
What is this model called? What is this model called? Does it have a name?
My dyslexia is kicking in. I have to Google it first.
It's a Value 22, is it?
Yes, it's a Heuer.
Yeah.
347 AR. I actually found that myself. And I'm like, actually impressed. I even impressed Uberoki a little bit that I found the exact reference.
3/4. Actually, yes, I can see one. There's one. You would see this same one. This is one in. This is in Spain. Did you see that one in Spain?
Yes.
They've bleached the dial. I don't think that was a good idea.
Oh, it's on Chrono 24?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then again, it could just be, I think that, well, I don't know if they bleached or what, but.
Is yours chrome or steel?
I believe mine is steel.
Okay. Because you know they did chrome as well, don't you?
Right. But 3/4. Yeah, and the funny part, well, then again, they might have done a couple of variations, and Hoyer's records for that era are not exactly the best. I think they've lost a few books over the years.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, I'm looking on the dash.com for Hoyer chronographs. I'm looking up the exact same one, and that one is definitely more blonde. White. It's got it, but it looks more like a smudge on the white.
I see.
And what's on here is definitely just more, you can tell it's more damaged because some moron tried to operate it when it was out of commission. Not me, by the way. Not this moron. The previous moron.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, I love it. I really, really like it.
It is a cool piece. 36 mils is not too small. That's not terrible, is it? Really?
No, it's quite. I mean, yeah. You know, I could definitely see Christian spruiking the hell out of it.
Yes. That was a good find. That's something to put in the. That's a beautiful thing. I love the dial on it. I mean, even though I'm not a vintage person, I just love the look of it. It's a very funky piece, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It looks like something Grandpa would wear, I think.
Yeah. It's a great piece. What do you think it's worth yourself? Or you don't buy them for the money?
Not really, no. I did look. I saw the same one in Chrono 24. The dial looked, I mean, it's 4,000. Like, no.
That doesn't mean it doesn't mean he'll get that. It doesn't mean he'll get that either, right. Does it?
Well, on the other, like I said, on the other hand, this is actually almost a gift from Uberoki. So the price, I'm delighted for the price I paid for. I'm ecstatic.
But it's not about the money. It's a chance to have a really interesting chronograph in your collection, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's not a lot of. I mean, I don't think there's a whole. I mean, there's not a whole lot of Hoyers out there, and there's damn sure not any of these.
He just got that recently. He bought that recently, or he had it for a while.
I think he came across it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, very good.
But he was kind of holding on to it for me, so.
Yes. I understand.
Now, of course, a Carrera would be nicer. Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, it used to be that people, would get the Carreras because they couldn't afford the first Daytonas. Now they're becoming almost as desirable. The price are almost going up as much as the first generation Daytonas. And you know, like I said, the Octavias and even the Monacos, the funky little square Monacos, are really going up there.
Oh, they're huge money. The Monacos are huge money. You're talking 5-digit pricing, aren't you? Really?
Yeah. Well, and Uberoki saying, you know, I bought out this consignment over in a place I'm not going to name. I was looking at the photographs. I think that's a Hoyer Octavia. So when I get down there, I'll be in touch with you.
No worries. That's a great thing. It's really good that you can get these things here, and there'll come a time when it'll stop, Clyve, and you've got to be grateful to have these vintage pieces, you know?
Well, yeah, I'm just grateful to have him. I mean, I like shit. I mean, if he could adopt me, I'd sign the papers. I really, really like him. I mean, he's one of those, he just knows so much about antiques and horology. We'll get in the car and just do a quick transaction. In 40 minutes will pass because we're talking about Civil War swords.
Oh, shit, you're joking.
No.
That's
No.
amazing.
Did we miss another super chat?
Super chat. We can do super chat. Do a super chat, Clyve. Super chat, super chat, super chat. Anyone want a super chat?
Well, they're saying we missed one. Okay, Grandmaster Funk sent $2. Let me take this one. What are the names of your horns? See, I don't know, Grandmaster Funk, I don't know if they've been officially named, but I refer to them on the channel as Lefty and Righty. He favors Lefty. Lefty is definitely the star. Righty, on the other hand, kind of stays back in the background just a little bit because he's the master. He's the puppet master. Lefty is the front. Lefty is the front man.
Yeah.
So we got that. We're good.
That's exactly it, Clyve.
Yeah, and they're saying shave the horns. I don't want you to shave the horns. I like them.
Yes.
Character.
Yes. Character. That's exactly it, Clyve.
Also, and also, I'm sure you've probably noticed this. You lose the weight and you get back doing the Blue Velvet gigs. They're growling handlebars.
That's exactly it, Clyve. Yep, I understand what you're saying. It's a tough one, Clyve. It's what can you say indeed, Clyve? It's very hard. Very hard.
Oh, sorry, I took it off. I'm glad there was the long delay because it's a freaking little funky ass little deployment. So literally spring true flew across the room. Thank God I had been house cleaning or I never would have found that son of a bitch. It's like, I found it, yay!
What was that? What flew off?
On the deployment clasp, it's kind of a funky little thing they've got there. It's a 3-piece.
Show me that.
That's just a funky little deployment clasp.
What's this on? What's this on?
That's on the Hoyer.
That's not that's not original, of course. That's after.
No, it's original.
Hey, can I tell you a military vintage watch story?
Go ahead.
Okay, I remember many years ago, right? I was working for this guy. That's the guy Andy, the really rich guy who had all these wonderful watches, right?
Right.
He had a one pusher chronograph, World War II.
Right.
And I used to photograph it on the window. I used to hold it, my hand out the window. And the fucking pusher flew off as it was out the window. Yeah. Let me just say, I wasn't popular boy for a while.
I'd imagine not.
No way in the world you'd ever find that fucking pusher. You know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, very, very sad indeed. But
you mean to talk about the evil watch while we're talking about wartime?
Sure, you can talk about this evil watch. What makes it so evil?
Well, it's a Zentra. And of course, as we know, it was designed by the world famous Nazi watch designer Gerald Zentra before he slipped across the border into Switzerland and slightly changed his name.
I see.
Right. But it's actually in really good condition. Watchsmith basically looked it over and said, well, actually the tip of the mainspring is damaged, so it won't wind all the way. So he said it looks like it was just thrown in a drawer and left there.
I see.
But it's a D watch, D serial number. If you know anything about the World War II German watches, KM is Kriegsmarine. You've got the UR B, A, UR A, the big Luftwaffe watches that IWC still copies and uses today. And those were basically meant by the Geiser Messerschmitts going through Poland, France, and Britain.
I had a Leica one of those on the channel. Did you know that?
Yeah. Was it an authentic one or was it a reproduction or homage?
It was an original one.
Ooh, I would have loved to see that. I mean, yeah.
If you type in Laco, it'll come up. My watch comes up, Clyve.
Nice.
Well, it wasn't my watch. I mean, I had it on my
your watch review. Your review.
Yeah, that's exactly right there.
Well, there's a little bit of discrepancy as well. Actually, you know, the Nazis did keep excellent records, but they were having some setbacks towards the end of the conflict. Some people think that the D watch was meant for the Luftwaffe. In other words, people who are not pilots, but still, you know, a wristwatch at the time, an accurate wristwatch, mechanical wristwatch, was still a luxury.
Yes.
Of course, the German army needed several because, you know, when you want them to start shelling, you want everyone to shell at the same time. Or, okay, everyone sneak across the river at 3 o'clock. Do you guys understand? Well, anyway, some say that the D, as opposed to the DH, stood for the Luftwaffe, like lesser-known components of the Luftwaffe. Others say it stood for service. In other words, branches.
Here you go, Clyve. This is my video here.
Nice.
World War II Pilot's Watch, Laco Luftwaffe. Sorry, not Luft. Look at this. Look at this.
Luftwaffe. Yes.
Can you see that on the screen now?
Yes. Lufthansa is the airline.
This is my video. This is my video.
Beautiful watch.
Huge. And it was made of aluminum too. Did you know that?
Yep. I love that large. And the large onion crown was made to be easy, or it could be wound with with gloves.
Exactly. Not many of these people. Not many people survived. You know that?
A lot of them didn't. Oh wait. Oh,
look at this. This is comparing it to the Explorer. Look at this.
Go back. Look at this. Look. Let's go back and look at the back of the case, shall we?
Yep. Sorry, I can do that.
That's actually okay. H. Huh. Well, and what some people say the D stood for, like, service, but military service. Others think that more people think that it stood for, like, critical components that served the German or the Third Reich, but not military. Most notably, the railroads.
I see. What does the H stand for?
Why do I say
hello?
Hitler. Hitler, no. Here, possibly. Here, you know, here is basically the generic German word for army. Wehrmacht is the entire armed forces. But however, when you think about it, what did the German railway system, railway workers do for the Third Reich that was absolutely critical, besides just moving troops and equipment?
Moving people to the death chambers.
Yep. Yep. That's why I say it's an evil watch.
Well, I mean, when you say it's an evil watch, right? They weren't necessarily the people who had any say. They could have just been. The thing is this, you know, World War. You must realize this. The Germans themselves aren't necessarily bad people. They had leaders, and they were going a certain way. And it doesn't mean every German was bad and evil.
No, but the watch is specifically made and distributed to make sure that the loads, I mean, the
well, that's just German efficiency, isn't it?
Yeah, but that watch helped. Probably more than likely helped in the effort.
I don't think it would have made any difference if the trains were 5 minutes slow or 5 minutes late.
Would have made a difference to the Germans. They are efficient. Well, yeah, actually it does. It does make a difference because literally it was, they were so efficient, but they could only process so many people through at a smooth pace. Two train loads arriving at the same time would have made things exponentially more difficult. When you're processing 30,000 people a day, the fact that, you know, it kind of has to be evenly spaced out for it to work.
Mm.
And Flukehomer also said trains crash if the time is off. So
very interesting piece indeed there, Clyve. But
of the two, though, don't get me wrong, I love the Hoyer more.
The Hoyer is not a military piece, is it?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
I would love to get a bit more history on it. You weren't able to get any history on it, or who owned it before, or anything? Nothing?
Nope. I will try to. I will. I'll.
I mean, just as a historian, I'm just interested in that. You know what I mean? Who owned it? What did they?
In the other two Kraut watches, I do have the history on those two. And those
the other two what watches?
Kraut.
Oh, we don't like to be racist here, Clyve.
Nazi.
The German watches. We don't want to be
the German watches worn by Nazis. I should have had the guy do an affidavit while I'm thinking about it, but it's actually just a great older guy locally whose uncle was in Patton's Third Army. That's where he got the watches from. I'm like, oh wow, that's an awesome story. What did he do in the Third Army? Pause, real quietly. Graves registration.
I see.
He's like, what? Are you saying he stripped these off the wrists of two dead Krauts? No, it's.
And he stole them. He didn't give them to the Nazi machine.
Well, no. I mean, the Nazis didn't give them over because they were dead. So it's just like, he's sitting there with a shovel thinking, oh, they're not going to need these here watches anymore. So they were basically stripped off the wrists of two dead German soldiers. Moreover, here's also something really important. If I tell that story to any woman my age, and they say, "Ooh, I got a shot with them," they're twisted. They're just twisted enough.
Okay. Very interesting story there, Clyve. It's
watches, horology, bringing people together.
Have you found women like
watch
collectors or not? Do women like watch collectors?
I think it's like anything else. I think they like the stories more than anything else. So I mean, and it's just women that's a broad group. But in some, it's just like, well, do men like? You can't really say all men, really, can you? Some women, I think, like them because they're symbols of conspicuous consumption. It's like, well, if this more for this, he's obviously makes some bank, or he's got some rich relations. But a lot of times, women like the stories behind them.
I've just banned fisting Minotaurs. It's over now. He's out of here. Okay, I'm sorry, Clyve.
I fought for him, but but fighting. You mean fighting Minotaurs? Actually, for my birthday was the book "A Man and His Watches."
Yes, have you read that book now?
I am reading it, and it's tremendously freaking interesting and lovely photography. And sometimes, of course, I hate to say it, there are downsides to my association with your channel.
Mm-hmm.
Because half the time I'm going through flip, shitter. Even though, but that's one thing about a lot of times they'll have watches that are not horology or not luxury watches, but good stories behind them. I don't find those nearly as interesting, but I still read them. So what's the story? What's the story behind your reverso with the engraving?
No,
if any of your watches has a story, the best story, what would it be? What watch and what would the story be? if this guy had went up and said, "Hi, Archie Luxury, I can't remember the guy's name. I'm writing this book, and since you're a well-known YouTube luxury watch reviewer, which watch has the story you'd like to tell?"
Well, I don't know if they all got their own story there. I mean, engraving doesn't really mean anything special there. I mean,
yeah,
Clyve, they're just possessions we own in life, and
I thought TGV's story was really interesting in it.
we don't discuss other channels here, Clyve.
Okay, sorry. Well, there was somebody else, another channel which we want to discuss that was in the back of the book, and I thought, really? Anyway, that's why I was kind of hurt. I almost felt personally offended that you weren't in there.
Who was in the book?
You said I can't mention them, so I won't. But
they were in the book.
Yeah, with his watch.
Cool, 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 cool.
Nah, I didn't think it was. Anyway. You go back and check your emails. Maybe he sent you a request, or maybe he emailed you something back like 6 months ago, and you sent him the standard, "I don't do shit for free." That's why I figured it probably. The author. I'll have to look and get the name of the author of the book and see if he maybe sent you an email 6 months ago or a year ago.
I don't really care.
Okay. So, nice. Anyway.
That's how it goes there, Clyve. It's great to talk watches. Let's wrap this baby up, and we'll chat another day, Clyve.
All right, appreciate it. You're gonna do? How's the paid reviews coming?
I got to do a few more. Better jump on. Thanks, Clyve.